The defeat of Japan in China does not bring peace, but rather the outbreak of a catastrophic civil war. China is bitterly divided between the nationalist armies of the Kuomintang and its leader Chiang Kai-shek and the communist forces of the People's Liberation Army under revolutionary leader Mao Zedong. There has been a truce of sorts between Mao and Chiang during the Japanese occupation of China, when both sides fought against the invaders. But with Japan's defeat, civil war is inevitable. This 1930s nationalist propaganda poster shows the devil of communism being slayed by a traditional Chinese hero. Conversely, this communist poster urges China's peasants, workers and soldiers to resist the nationalists and their murderous supporters, Western imperialists, and China's old aristocratic warlords. Mao, already an iconic leader among the Chinese peasantry, has been waging war since the early 1930s. This poster, based on a painting of him from 1935, when he was 42 years old, is the earliest known image of Mao in colour. It shows him in Yan'an, in the central heart of China, to where, with only a few loyal followers, he escaped from encircling nationalist forces in what became enshrined as Mao's legendary Long March. The heroics of the Long March consolidated Mao's position as the leader of China's Communist Party. But some historians claim that many of the events never happened, and that Mao himself did not march the Long March, but was carried on a litter by his men. Nevertheless, Mao uses the Long March as the foundation stone of his heroic image.
The Long March is our manifesto. It has proclaimed to the world that the Red Army is an army of heroes, and to the people that it is their only road to liberation.
1948. The tide is turning in Mao's favour in China's brutal civil war. October. Liaoning Province, northeast China, a major industrial area and a strategic fulcrum between China, Korea, Japan and the Soviet Union. Liaoning is at the heart of a massive military campaign that will determine the future of the country. After months of ferocious fighting in Changchun and Shenyang, Chiang Kai-shek's army and the city's civilian populations are totally surrounded. Mao, now in his mid-50s, issues the chilling order: turn them into cities of death. His military commander in the campaign is Lin Biao, Mao's most trusted general. Here on the right, shot by a combat cameraman in this recently unearthed 35mm colour film, he reports back to Mao on the success of the order.
The blockade has produced remarkable results and has caused great famine. The civilians are living on leaves and grass. Many have died. On the front line, we have placed a sentry every 50 meters, plus barbed wires and ditches. Any who got out were forced to return. Some knelt in front of our men, begging to be allowed to go. Some put their babies down in front of our troops and turned back. Some hanged themselves there and then.
A communist PLA veteran is witness to the suffering.
When we saw so many people dying of hunger, we weren't shocked. We had been in and out of piles of corpses, and our hearts had been hardened. We were unmoved. But when we moved into the city and saw what it was like, we were devastated. Many of us wept. A lot of us said, We are supposed to be fighting for the poor? Are these the bodies of poor people?
Chiang Kai-shek's army is destroyed, suffering over 400,000 dead. At least the same number of civilians die in Changchun alone. (1948). China's civil war has reached a critical stage. Mao knows that to win, he must rely on deserters from Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist army. He orders his field commanders to use loudhailers to offer food, clothing, and a place in the ranks of the People's Liberation Army if they desert the nationalist cause. He also orders that existing nationalist POWs are offered the same deal. His commanders, especially his political commissar, Deng Xiaoping, and his commander-in-chief, Marshal Liu Bosheng, are horrified by the potential risks. But Mao responds in the bluntest of terms.
If you do not do as I ask, we cannot sustain our attacks and victory will slip away. Carry out your orders.
Late December 1948. Kalgan, now known as Jiangjiakou, Hebei Province, northwest of Beijing. The PLA storms the city. Kalgan is occupied on December 24th. A series of battles across several provinces is underway, involving over 7 million men, including over 5 million armed peasants, fighting for the PLA. Mao's risky tactic of offering enemy soldiers the opportunity to change sides begins to work. Many of Chiang Kai-shek's men, including some of his senior commanders, begin to surrender. With Mao skulking out of the limelight, General Lin Biao and his fellow officers look on as the PLA makes its triumphant march into Beijing on January 22nd, 1949. From behind the scenes, Mao soon begins to assert the supreme authority of the state and introduces strict censorship laws. By late March 1949, fighting has broken out in Taiyuan in Shanxi province. The city falls to the PLA on March 24th. On April 23rd, Nanjing falls. Chiang Kai-shek's government flees south to Guangzhou as the PLA storms Chiang's headquarters. Battles rage all over China as Mao's PLA comes close to total victory. On May 25th, Shanghai falls. The PLA is welcomed into the city as conquering heroes. Zhou Yimin watches as the huge parade passes her home.
We were so excited. Everyone was celebrating. There weren't too many communists in my district, but they had promised an end to the corruption and violence in the city, and everyone wanted that. Unfortunately, at that time, we had no idea what would come with it.
Although it will take several months for the PLA to occupy all the regions of China, the civil war is effectively over. Chiang Kai-shek escapes to the offshore island of Formosa, where he establishes the new Republic of China, now better known as Taiwan. Mao and his Communist Party are the new masters of mainland China and its 550 million people.